Okay, good morning. Today is February 12th, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the Transportation Committee and joint special meeting with the Public Works Committee. I'm Councilwoman Heather Hutt, Chair of Transportation Committee, and I'm joined today by Council members Hernandez and Park. Mr. City Clerk, please. Oh, and Padilla. Oh, looky here.
Full house.
Full house. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hutt,
Here.
Councilmember Park, Councilmember Hernandez,
Present.
Councilmember Padilla.
Present.
We have all the members for both committees, and we have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Great. I also would like Council Member Hernandez to make an introduction, Public Works Chair, and her roll call as well.
Thank you. And I just want to call, so we're doing a joint committee meeting with Public Works and Transportation. And so I'd like to call the Public Works Committee meeting to order as well. Mr. Villanueva, can you please call the roll?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes, present.
Councilmember Padilla.
Present.
Councilmember Hutt.
Here.
All the members of the Public Works Committee are present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk, for calling the dual roles. Members, today we have 5 items on Transportation Committee, 3 items before both of the committees. Before we get to the items, Madam CLA, please read and any amendments we might have into the record.
Sure. This morning we have 2 amendments. The first one is for item 2. That's Council File 25-0064. The amendment is adopt the motion as amended to 1, instruct the Department of Transportation in coordination with the Bureau of Engineering to report annually with a list of projects in Council District 15 that are eligible for the South Bay City's Council of Governments Measure M funding opportunities no later than 3 weeks prior to the application deadline, including the total amount of funding available for the subregion and the amount being pursued, and 2, request the Harbor Department to also report on the applications they submit separately from LADOT and BOE. Our second amendment this morning is for item 4, Council File 24-0173. This is a lengthy document and there are several amendments on different pages, so I will read the highlighted changes. The first set of changes are on page 2 under Mobility Plan Project. The second sentence says, adds the words made or constructed. And later in that paragraph, striping or restriping of the road without making other improvements, slurry seal, ornamental street markings, routine pothole repair, utility cuts, or emergency repairs has been added. The sentence that starts with a roadway surface has been stricken. Further down below, under section 19.212, about 3 lines into the paragraph, the words scope at the time of the grant award have been added. The sentence, or to any mobility plan project that depends upon other funding agreements that were executed before the effective date, has been stricken. The following phrase has been added: awarded grant funding before the effective date. The following sentence has been stricken: delaying the project, adding unforeseen budget increases, complicating the project delivery, or the word feasibly has been stricken, and the following phrase has been added: without jeopardizing grant or other third-party funding. Moving on to page 3, the very first paragraph. And the Department of Public Works has been stricken. The letters CO and the word co-lead has been stricken. The word agencies has been changed to agency, and the following sentence has been added. Initiation, scoping, and outreach and scheduling has been stricken. Shall work with the Department of Public Works for scheduling and construction of. In subsection B, and the Department of Public Works has been stricken, and the Department of Public Works and the has been added. In subsection C, the following sentence has been added. Within half mile of the original street of similar designation, arterial or non-arterial. In subsection E, the Department of Public Works has been added. Moving on to page 4, in subsection A, the sentence now reads, a brief estimate of the number of vehicle parking spaces reallocated, if any. Subsection B, a brief estimate of the vehicle travel lanes reallocated, if any. And subsection C, a brief estimate of the number of vehicle parking spaces and vehicle travel lanes in the vicinity of the mobility plan project. And the following subsections have been added. D, number of serious injuries and deaths, KSI, due to traffic crashes along the corridor, based on the last 10 years of data available as reported through the statewide integrated traffic records system, and a description of how they could improve traffic safety outcomes. And E, estimated volume of vehicles along the corridor on an average day and an estimate of how the project could change those statistics. And F, an estimate of transit service, active transportation connectivity or accessibility benefits anticipated after the project is constructed compared to before. And G, estimated number of people that can move through the corridor on all modes of transportation per day after the project compared to before the project. Moving on to page 5, the very first paragraph, the word optional has been added. The sentence now reads, providing a streamlined administrative optional appeal process to facilitate the prompt and efficient resolution of disputes concerning the city's compliance with Measure HLA. And the following phrase has been added, and may be used if desired before a civil action is filed. Further down in subsection D, under number 1, the number of calendar days has been changed from 15 to 30. Moving on to page 6, subsection H, a reasonable period of time has been stricken and replaced by up to 15 calendar days. The entire subsection I has been stricken, and in subsection J, 6 months has been changed to 12 months. Those are all the changes for this item.
Thank you so much. Now that we've read the amendments, let's begin taking public comment. Mr. Clerk, can you please provide the public comment instructions?
Certainly, Madam Chair. The public has 1 minute for an item that they sign up for, and a maximum of 2 minutes for multiple items. And if they sign up for general public comment, they get 1 minute for a total maximum of 3 minutes if it's multiple item and general public comments. So no more than 3 minutes per speaker.
Thank you so much. And Hakeem will conduct public comment. Hakeem, please begin to call the names. If you signed up for public comment, you can come to the podium that's freestanding next to the pillar, and that's where your public comment will begin, and the clock is visible, right?
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead, Hakeem.
Madam Chair, there's 17 people on the queue currently. I'm going to call up a few names at a time. If you hear your name, please line up on the side of the room. Becky Dennison, Godfrey, Allison Schallert, Marilyn Wells, and Jim.
Why don't you sign up?
Good morning, council members. I'm here to speak on item 3. My name is Becky Dennison. I'm with Venice Community Housing. We are the nonprofit developers selected by the city to develop affordable housing on Lot 731. I'm also a resident of Los Angeles and a longtime advocate for housing justice. We submitted our legal position on the record in writing, so I just want to say a few words about my deep disappointment in the city's ongoing nonchalance towards our housing crisis and towards people dying on our streets, including these efforts to stop 120 much-needed units in Venice on Lot 731. We were here in front of you about a year ago on a similar motion to investigate what's happened on this lot. That report never came back to you because it said exactly what we said it did on the public record, that the project was approved, that public parking and housing was approved, and it was funded. And yet here we are again. Just a few months after, we were standing hand in hand with the city defending the entitlements on this project, by which we were charged $500,000 to do so. So this circular pattern of trying to stop people from moving from the streets into housing needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, all. My name is Godfrey Plata Pranazihim, LA Forward Institute Deputy Director, Council District 10 resident.
Which items would you like to speak on?
Oh, 3. Sorry.
Thank you. 1 minute.
We at LA Forward Institute love mobility, love transportation, love the work y'all do, and are here to urge you to vote no on motion 3 and not pass it forward. This motion is designed to make you forget. Forget that 731 is not available for a transportation hub. It's already an affordable housing opportunity site that has been approved in various ways by this city council on at least 4 past occasions, and the city is in a legally binding contract to develop the Venice-style affordable housing community on this lot. The motion omits this important information. This motion is designed to make you forget that the city council already has past commitments and acknowledges that the Board of Transportation Commissioners is an advisory committee, and it does not have the authority to override city council's votes to have this affordable housing complex move forward on its current lot. So this direction to afford this, to explore this transit hub on 731 is a distraction from affordable housing we need now. If we try to move that affordable housing, it'll take years again to get it up, and we need this housing now more than ever given the virus. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, the items you wish to speak on, your name.
Hi, general public and item 3. Does that give me more time?
2 minutes.
Okay.
Your name, please.
I don't have to go so fast.
And your name,
Allison
please.
Shallert. The Venice Dell project has been in the works for 7 years. 4 times the city council has approved this project. The Coastal Commission has approved this project. The last time I came in front of this commission to speak about support of this project, we had a severe housing crisis. Now, after the fires in the Palisades, we have an even more serious housing epidemic facing this very area. The project has many benefits to the community. It would increase the parking in the area, and besides, it would make the parking safer. It increases entrances and exits, and it modernizes the kiosks. Right now, there's only one entrance to the parking lot, and it's a person. And if they're not there, the line is very long and very unsafe down the street. The project would create public access for kayaking and park space. Wasting the city's time on this motion and the city's money on this motion investigating, it will surely end up costing the city millions of dollars. I urge you to say no. Thank you very much.
Hi, and good morning. My name is Jim Murez. I'm the immediate past president of the Venice Neighborhood Council.
The items we'd like to speak on, please.
Oh, item 3, sorry.
Thank you. 1 minute.
The project to create a transportation hub at Lot 731 was approved and passed by the Venice Neighborhood Council, I believe in 2018 or 2019. I don't have it in front of me, but it's part of the record. It was sent into a community impact statement. You have it. There was a complete plan that was designed that I hope you guys review if this goes forward. And as far as Lot 701, for the last almost 40 years, I've been the manager of the Venice Farmers Market that operates there every Friday. And I'm in complete support of moving the market and doing whatever the city needs to do to make housing more available. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call up a few more names. Majori, Alex Lamb, Adam S., Pat Taylor, Robin Miros. You don't have to go in that order, but just come up to the podium. Your name and the item you wish to speak on?
Sir Duarte Good morning. My name's Adam Smith. I'm going to speak on public comment. And number 3, I'll start with number 3.
2 minutes. I mean, 1 minute. Yeah, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning. Again, Adam Smith. I live in CD11 and work in Skid Row at the LA Community Action Network. I'm a supporter of the Venice Dell project that has been progressing through approval process for nearly 8 years. A little unknown fact about me, but I am 100% for more housing in CD11. As I'm speaking today, I'm thinking of my friends Jeffrey and Miranda and many others who have died houseless in the streets of CD11. I bring this up because this motion hides 2 main things. That the Venice Dell project, long since approved by this council, is slated to and approved to be built on the very parking lot this motion is talking about putting a, quote, mobility hub, I like to call in that district a gentrification station. And 2, that Councilmember Park has been working with the city attorney to kill the Venice Dell project in violation of fair housing laws and the city charter. This obstruction and obfuscation needs to stop, and Venice Dell needs to go forward, particularly while Councilmember Park aims to respond to the destruction of the fires in CD11 urgently. Vote no on this motion until it stops trying to be used to kill an urgently needed housing project already approved by this body. And I'll go to general comment. The obstruction by elected officials to kill low-income housing in CD11 is not only infuriating, it's honestly embarrassing. Cringe, as my small children might say. As the city continues to pour millions into the administration of addressing the housing crisis, creating and expanding a poverty bureaucracy of executives and administrators sucking off the teat of taxpayer dollars to facilitate carceral shelter programs and institutionalized instability, we see elected officials like Tracy Park and Heidi Feldstein-Soto working to undermine and kill a long-approved housing development, something with measurable, attainable material goals, and doing so for political reasons. It's okay not to see eye to eye politically and ideologically with politicians. I would say it's healthy, and that tension works to actually move things forward. But this is beyond that. It is embarrassing and shameful that Venice Dell hasn't moved forward yet, and any council member that helps further obstruct this material gain for poor and working class residents of CD11
Thank you.
Truly re-examine what it is you feel you are here to do and who you believe you are here to do it for.
Thank you. Next up, your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Good morning. My name is Robin Mures, and I wish to speak on general public comment and item 3.
2 minutes.
Regarding general public comment, I want to say that it's appalling that a project could move forward for years without having gone through the very basic reviews that any development project goes through in the city. How it could have something that deals with transportation, parking lot and roadways did not come before the Transportation Commission and yet continue to circumvent it for 7 years is shocking and appalling. And I believe that they should be liable to not only the city as well as the state and all of us constituents who are completely doing this at our own time and effort, and we are not paid employees, as are those who are so-called developers. They call themselves pro bono, but they are developers who are working at their own profit. Regarding item 3, I brought along with me, I'm the chair of the Venice Neighborhood Council Preserving Public Places Committee, and over the past several years, since at least 2018, I looked up and we've had at least 6 motions that I brought with me that you can review, including the large report that encourages any of us who live in Venice know that we've got substandard roadways there. We need a transportation hub desperately. It's also a fabulous, unique, historic site that the proposed development would destroy. It is a nationally registered transportation site. It is the oldest trolley car bridge, and that brings with it a lot of our cultural heritage of the people who built Venice, who built the city of LA. And it has the only portion of the Venice canals that actually was built by Abbot Kinney, the creator of Venice. So it could have both a fabulous transportation hub that will reduce the congestion and increase it, and housing can be across the street.
Thank you. That's your time. And you can hand those documents to the clerk.
Hello.
Thank you. Your name and the item you wish to speak on, please.
I'm Marjorie Weitzman. I'd like to make a brief public comment and then speak to agenda item number 3.
2 minutes.
First of all, I'd like to say I fully support motion 3, and I highly commend the DOT for their amazing report that the DOTC approved after much care and consideration. I've never seen such attention and detail given to that consideration. And they should have seen it much earlier. It is indeed the DOT's decision to make the binding decision on off-street parking. It should have been consulted much earlier in the process, and I commend them for doing so now. Venice Beach is the #1 tourist destination in Los Angeles. It's the people's beach. Everyone from all of your constituents comes to this beach and deserves accessibility to it. I encourage the Transportation and Public Works Committee to work to move forwards with this motion quickly and to look at the other alternative of using Lot 701 for the affordable housing. We are not saying no to affordable housing. We are encouraging this to move on in a much more practical way that makes perfect sense in this freaking crazy world we are living in right now. Nothing makes more sense than this motion, and I highly encourage everyone to move forward with it. And thank you again, DOT, DOTC, and our officials who are making this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Pat Taylor, item 3. I'm in support of this motion, and I think we should have a transportation hub at lot 731, and we should have affordable housing at 701. Thank you.
Thank you. And you said your name was Pat Taylor? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Before you go, ma'am, I'm going to call up a few more names, okay? Could I have Robin Murez, Helen Fallon, Fred Ryan, and Faiza Malik? Ma'am, your name and the item you wish to speak on.
Hello, my name is Alex Lamb, and I wish to speak on number 3. I
1
can't
minute.
say it any better than Marjorie Weitzman. I am in support of the motion, and thank you, Tracy, for your work and support on this. One of the things that wasn't addressed is all of the parking issues that we'll have with the upcoming Olympics, the soccer events. Venice is one of those wonderful places that draws people in, and friends, myself, my family, we love it, and we want to share. We want to have space, parking, and availability for people to come in. 701, I've been learning as much as I can, is an option and something worth looking at for housing, and it is important. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next up, your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Helen Fallon, general public comment, and item number 3.
2 minutes.
I'm a Venice resident for 50 years, and I'm also on the Venice Neighborhood Council, and I'm speaking as an individual. Lot 731 is a surface parking lot located 1.5 blocks from the Venice Boardwalk or beach. This lot has provided accessible and affordable beach parking for decades. During COVID, it became apparent that much of the street parking near the beach is taken up daily by those who work in nearby commercial establishments. Many businesses are located in older buildings that cannot provide on-site parking. This creates a significant demand for street parking. Post-COVID, alfresco dining and the new state regulations allowing projects to be built without any parking at all have made our parking deficit even worse. Venice has 3 miles of public beach, which is a little over 1,200 public beach parking spaces. Neighboring Santa Monica, with 3.4 miles of beach, has about 3,800 beach parking spaces. Santa Monica is providing almost 3 times the number of public parking spaces for the same amount of beach. 5 years ago, that's 5 years ago, the City Council directed LADPT to conduct a study regarding the need for visitor parking in Venice and the impact of consolidating the lots that make up Lot 731 for housing. That study was never done. It's shameful that it was never done. Why it was never done has never been explained to those of us in the public. And it's about time that study finally gets done. Please vote for this feasibility study, and I appreciate that our councilwoman has brought this forward, and I hope you will ensure that we finally get the study that we should have gotten 5 years ago before this project went forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, your name and the item you wish to speak on.
Fred Ryan, item number 3.
Thank you. 1 minute.
I support item number 3. We need the parking for Venice Beach, and it's a perfect, parking area and for transportation hub at 731, and affordable housing would be perfect adjacent to it. Much better setup for both. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up. Before you go, let me call a few more names, okay?
Okay.
Can I get Susan Millman, Ruth Goldway, and Rosine Bofa? Ma'am, your name and the item.
On item 3 and general public comment.
Thank you. What is your name?
Faiza Malik.
Thank you.
Good morning, council members. My name is Faiza Malik, and I'm a managing attorney for Housing Justice at Public Counsel. I am here on behalf of my clients, LA Forward Institute, and 3 individual taxpayers in a lawsuit against the city over the actions the city is taking to obstruct and delay the 100% affordable Venice Del project. We have significant legal concerns about the motion introduced by Councilmember Park that furthers the unlawful actions from the December 10th Board of Transportation Commissioners meeting, which seeks to undo Venice Del. Regardless of what the motion says or assumes, the Venice Del project is very much alive. Lot 731 is not available for the development of a mobility hub as referenced in the motion. It is the site of Venice Del. The BOTC has no authority to reject the use of Lot 31 for Venice Del. The city's own position in court in defending the project's DDA is that nothing in the charter grants this decision-making power to BOTC. We caution the City Council against taking action now to undermine its own approvals in an attempt to undo the Venice Del project after 8 years of public meetings, public hearings, public comment, and approvals, particularly at a time when we need affordable housing built all over the city and especially in Council District 11. And I'll note that this project is going to replace all of the parking spaces plus more. If the Transportation Committee moves forward with Councilmember Park's misguided motion, allowing an advisory commission to undermine the City Council's own legislative powers, the city will be exposed to additional liability in our lawsuit, which a judge last week declared serves the public interest in rejecting the city's meritless anti-SLAPP motion to strike our case. We have an urgent housing crisis, and the city should not be wasting more time and resources fighting us over 120 units and parking that should be housing people already. We therefore urge you to reject this motion and move forward with the remaining actions for Venice Del. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Oh, hello, Susan Millman, public comment and item 3.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I am a 50-year. I am very much against this motion. I am a 50-year Venice resident who lives blocks from Venice Del. I have watched my neighborhood as it gentrified from a multiracial, multicultural, mixed-income community to one where low-income people cannot afford to live. Needless to say, unsheltered people can't find anything there either. Venice Del, 120 units of low-income and supportive housing, has been approved by the City Council twice and now by the Coastal Commission. It has been in development for 8 years. And during that time, it has gone through everything. 8 years. And it provides more parking than is currently provided there. It is located on Lot 731. Lot 731 is not available, and housing on 730 should be in addition to 731. The NIMBY opposition has lost 2 lawsuits in their quest to stop this project. By this motion concerning a transportation hub, the city councilwoman and the city attorney are making a hideous Hail Mary attempt to put one more roadblock to this desperately needed housing, particularly in this high opportunity area.
Thank you very much.
There is a hub. Venice Circle is the hub.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's a shameful
That's your time.
ploy
Speaker, that's your time.
for so many obvious reasons, and you
Speaker, you're
should
out of time.
vote no.
Thank you. Next speaker, let us know your name and the items you wish to speak on.
My name is Ruth Goldway, and I'm a 25-year resident of Venice. I live on Dell Avenue, and I am in support of the Dell Avenue project and oppose this motion. I believe that this motion is illegal, inappropriate, downright embarrassing when we have thousands of people, many of my close friends, who've lost their homes in the Palisades, and we're taking time and resources to work on this effort to stop a project that's already approved and is going to be run by an agency that has an over 90% record of placing homeless people in permanent housing and 100% record in maintaining homes in neighborhoods in Venice that you'd be proud to live next to. This is a project that should move forward. We're in a time when people in Washington are saying government can't do anything and we shouldn't have government. Well, this exercise in trying to delay or stop a project that's supported is that kind of effort that gives them credibility.
Thank you.
We need to have government function for the people.
Thank you. Next speaker, your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hello, my name is Roseanne Baffa, number 3.
Thank you. 1 minute.
So I was there yesterday. I walked around the parking lot that has broken bottles and is really a disgrace. You know, it's really surprising to me that we went through 8 years of having everything approved by City Council and the Coastal Commission, which is almost impossible to do. And yet, people feel it's not necessary to house people in Venice. I have a guy living on my sidewalk. I mean, a transportation hub, you know how much pollution that puts in the air besides the planes from Santa Monica Airport flying over my head? I have soot constantly. I'm 1 block. I'm hoping that you don't put the transportation hub, because we already have one, the Venice Circle. Tracy, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you. The next speaker, then your name and the item you wish to speak on. Any more speakers? Okay, Linda Lukes, Allen, Robin Muirs, and Marilyn Wells. Thank you. Please tell us your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hello, my name is Linda Lux. I'm the past president, 2 terms of the Venice Neighborhood Council. I'm president of the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners for this city.
What item? 3?
I'm speaking on item 3.
Thank you.
And I'm opposed.
1 minute.
I'm opposed to it. I worked part-time for Venice Community Housing for the last 13 years, and I'm proud to say it's the most wonderful agency to work for, and we do have a 99% retention rate for people that are housed. I'm very proud of that. Lot 731, as you've heard from others, is not available. It's approved by the city. It's approved by the Coastal Commission. This Hail Mary effort to stymie it even further, even though there's lawsuits against it that are moving forward, Venice Community Housing has a binding contract with the city. It's already enacted. And the really weird thing is that even if this were to be considered, this has not been vetted in the community. The only people that know about this plan to make a transit hub are the people specifically opposed to Venice Dell who are here today, who've been at all the hearings. This has not been vetted in the community, and I guarantee you that this will be opposed by the vast majority of Venice people who do not want more air pollution, who do not want the fumes from trucks. So take it back to the community before you vote, Tracy. Take it back and then come back with support. Thank you.
Next speaker. Please tell us your name and the items you wish to speak on.
On number 3, my name is Alan Phillips.
Thank you. You have 1 minute.
Okay, I live at 206 North Venice Boulevard, which is the affordable housing that's there now. And I see the car park through my kitchen window, and it's always packed. And the beach parking is packed. It's there for the people of Los Angeles. And I don't hear anyone say, don't help the homeless. They can build it on the other lot, which is a stone's throw away from the one they want. That way, I commend Tracy Park and I commend the Transportation Committee for coming up with a common sense approach save the car park, help the homeless. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, tell us your name and the item you wish to speak on.
So this is Robin Mures, and I've actually been called 3 times. So I just want to be sure you know that I've already been called. But let's also just look at fiscal responsibility.
Thank you. Marilyn Wells, Linda Lukes. Marilyn Wells, Linda Lukes, Lux. Okay. That concludes public comment. Wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, were there any other speakers that were not called that would like to speak and have not spoken?
I have a Jonathan Weiss and a Josh V. Thank you. Let us know your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Yes, I'm Jonathan Weiss. I'm here to speak on 4 and 5.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
Thank you. In 1989, I got involved with trying to make our city better by advocating to buy old red car rights of way and build the E-line, which I took here today. I was on the City Bicycle Advisory Committee for 6 years, including working on the most recent mobility plan. Professionally, I've been a class action lawyer for small businesses and consumers. And now I generally represent public transportation entities in defending injury suits. HLA, which is the subject of these motions, is a promise to future generations. It's our legacy of a city where it's safer and more comfortable to get around. It'll serve public safety, serve public health. It'll encourage tourists to ride and walk and drive and get around their cities to do the same thing here safely and comfortably. As a lawyer in transportation planning, a nerd, I can say I expect it will also lower payouts and lost time for injuries and worse from road violence. I'm here. I was actually here to support Streets for All, which is behind HLA, and I'd leave it to them. They spend every day looking at this issue, but they've asked that metro projects be included in HLA. The city not hide behind metro and say it's a metro project, not a city project when it's on city streets. I also want to make sure that the effort is matched by adequate funding. And finally, that the LA DOT, which has capable people here, leads the program. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public speakers.
My name is called.
Go ahead. Your name and the item you wish to speak on?
My name is Josh Fredeville, and I'm commenting on items 4 and 5.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
I'm here as one of the main proponents of Measure HLA. Since HLA passed last March, 253 people have been killed in crashes on the streets of LA, nearly one a day. I'm excited for an implementation ordinance to move forward. We urgently need safer and more efficient streets, and I want to ask you to clarify the language of mobility plan projects in the implementation ordinance. Currently, projects made or constructed by the City of LA is vague and excludes other entities that work on our streets, namely Metro. This is logistically and financially short-sighted. Metro spends billions of dollars each year on regional transportation projects, much of it in the City of LA. Not aligning these projects with the mandate of HLA is ignoring a massive pot of money in an era of budgetary crisis. A financially prudent decision would be using Metro spending to implement as much of the mobility plan as possible. Legally, Metro and the City of LA operate in shared agreements about work, and often the city funds parts of projects via sub-regional programs. If a project is being permitted by the city, being executed in conjunction with the city, and partially funded by the city, how can you say that the city isn't part of making that project? We believe that the language of HLA requires Metro to follow HLA, and the implementation ordinance before you should clarify that instead of relying on a judge to do it at a different date. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now we can conclude public comment unless we have another speaker. Marilyn.
Yeah.
Hi, Marilyn
Hi.
Wells. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Marilyn Wells, speaking on behalf of item 3.
1 minute.
Pardon?
1 minute.
We're ready.
You may begin.
Okay. Thank you. It's very important that we build this housing, especially now when there's more people that are unhoused. This building has been up over and over, and it's just costing so much money. I've seen this situation happen so many times across LA. People don't want the housing built there. They're worried about their parking. And then it gets built and they like the neighbors and they're happy that the building is there. You don't need to keep a parking lot. This building is so important. So important. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can conclude public comment.
Thank you very much, Hakeem. Now that we've concluded the public comment section, I'd like to officially close public comment and let's jump on to our agenda. I'd like to take up members' non-controversial items. Those items will be items 1, 2, and 6. Mr. Clerk, please read the items into the record.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Item 1 is Council File 23-1376-S1. It's a motion by Council Members Hutt and Lee relative to the status of the current transit vehicle advertising contract, the number of vehicles and type of advertisement, revenue generated, and the request for proposals issued in 2023. Item number 2 is Council File 25-0064. It's a motion by Council Members McOsker and Hutt relative to an annual plan of projects to be submitted for Measure M funding application cycles specific to Council District 15 within the South Bay Council of Governments. And item number 6 is Council File 24-0600-S108. It's a budget recommendation relative to realigning positions and programs within the Los Angeles Department of Transportation to create a unit that focuses on traffic calming and other safety improvements to implement the Mobility Plans Network neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Members, do you have any discussion on items 1, 2, and 6? Seeing none. I recommend we adopt the motion on item 1. On item 2, I recommend we adopt the motion as amended. And on item 6, I recommend we receive and file the item. Members, on these items, I ask for your aye vote. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hutt?
Aye.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Item 1 is the motion was adopted. Item 2 is the motion was adopted as amended. And item 6 is receive and file.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to take up item 3. Mr. Clerk, can you please read item 3?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Item 3 is Council File 15-1138-S42. It's a motion by Council Members Park and Nazarian relative to the feasibility of developing affordable housing on parking lot 701, addressing critical housing needs in Council District 11, and the steps needed to create a cohesive mobility hub, inclusive of car share, bike share, micromobility, shuttle service, transit store, etc. on parking lot 731. This item was also referred to the Housing and Homelessness Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Members, do you have any discussion for item number 3? Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On December 10th, the Board of Transportation Commissioners unanimously agreed in a binding decision that Lot 731 was not feasible for housing development and would be better served by development as a mobility hub to resolve long-standing challenges with respect to coastal access, Coastal Commission parking mandates, economic development, finalizing our permanent alfresco program in the coastal zone, preparing for the Olympics, and advancing our sustainable mobility goals. At the same time, the board recommended, as an alternative, developing affordable housing on a similar parcel, Lot 701, just a few feet away, on a different city-owned lot that is actually underutilized, generates far less revenue, requires no replacement parking, and is already developed and zoned for housing. And I want to note and acknowledge the gentleman who came and spoke from Venice, who lives in the affordable housing that's already at the site of Lot 731. I find it troubling to hear Venice Community Housing chomping at the bit to throw those low-income tenants out. The Board of Transportation Commission decision is final now, and it gives us great options to urgently move forward with affordable housing in CD11, a need that the Palisades fire, which has destroyed hundreds of units of RO housing, has made even more clear. The Board of Transportation Commission report delivers a viable pathway for affordable housing in Venice while maximizing the number of units, enhancing coastal access, protecting our city fiscally, and moving Venice towards a multimodal green future. Over the last 8 years on the other project, there has been an immense amount of wasted time, money, goodwill, and opportunity. Other affordable projects that were introduced at literally the same time are now completed. We've been at the ribbon cuttings. We're moving people in. And on this one, nothing. It's not financed, mired in controversy, legal claims with the developers, suing the city, calling us all manners of name. The project is no longer feasible, and everyone is moving on. I introduced the motion before us today with urgency to help us achieve those multiple goals in tandem with broad-based community support, and I look forward to working with Mayor Bass to bring this vision to life. The need is clear, and we're very excited to move forward quickly to complete both projects before the Olympics. Colleagues, I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Members, any other members have questions or comments?
I have a question, Joanna.
Certainly.
Thank you. Do we have a city attorney on this project here with us today? Yes, please come to the table. Thank you. Hi, please introduce yourself.
Your mic.
Mike. Thank you for joining us today. Mike, I would just like some clarification. I've heard a couple of times from different folks during today's meeting that the decision from that commission supersedes the decision of an elected body, which is the council. Is that correct? Did we get superseded as elected officials on this?
Let me cite the actual code. It's in Los Angeles Administrative Code section 22.484 subsection G7. Under, let me mention G2, the powers and duties of the Board of Transportation Commissioners. Under G1, the Transportation Commission's relationship to the General Manager of the Transportation Department shall be advisory. Now let me get to the essential one, subsection 2 of G. Notwithstanding its advisory capacity, the Transportation Commission shall exercise the following powers and duties, and such powers and duties as may be conferred by ordinance. So I'm going to go to G7, which was the ordinance that was giving that power. Under 7, the board has the ability and makes the decision. It manages and controls the parking lots, including 731. The board was always required to be consulted and to make a decision as to how those parking lots, the SPRF, Special Parking Revenue lots, are to be used. In this case, it didn't happen for 8 years. They waited 8 years to go to the board, and the board made the unanimous decision not to support this project. They have the power and duty to do that. And there's been talk about the Coastal Commission and the permit they issued. In issuing that permit, the Coastal Commission on record stated that despite, that if the city chooses, they have this permit that they can go forward, but it's the city's choice whether they are going to go forward on that project. And in this particular instance, council now has changed its mind about the project. The council will have the...
How have we?
The board will vote in a minute in terms of what's going to happen. I'll let them go forward, but the motion before you is deciding to...
Order, please. This is not a place where there's a dialogue. He's giving a report. Any more outbursts, and we're going to have to ask you to leave. Thank you.
So I just want to be clear. The council has not changed its mind. There's a motion ahead of us to make that decision.
Right.
But I'm talking to you over here.
Okay.
But we have not made that decision as a legislative body, correct?
Not at this point. You're
Okay,
about
great.
to do so.
So I just want, when we speak about it, we have to be very clear, because if not, the audience who's listening is going to misunderstand what we're saying.
Right, and I'm just trying to clear up the misinterpretation about the city's authority in regard to this project.
So what you're saying is that the board that you're talking about supersedes our legislative power on this particular parking lot.
Regarding the authority, the power and the duties, they have the power and duty to determine the management and the acquisition of the properties. And they have voted not to approve this particular project.
Great, thank you.
If I may, just one follow-up question.
Certainly.
Mr. City Attorney, thank you for being here. Mr. Nagel, if council wanted to act, I don't have my mic on. Mr. Nagel, thank you for being here. If council had wanted to act to change course on this, it would have been able to do that, and that deadline has long since come and gone by now.
If council wanted to challenge the position, it's under the code, that 245 is the code number, and the council would have had 5 regular meetings to challenge it. Council never challenged the decision of the board, so therefore that board decision is now final.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I have one more question, gentlemen, if that's okay. Thank you. So you're saying that 8 years, right? Who this project has been moving forward for 8 years. The commission just heard it after 8 years. What's the process for getting in front of that commission? Who puts it on the agenda? Does it have to be the developer to outreach? Does it have to be the city to outreach to the board? Why so long? What's the process? Maybe not why so long, but what's the process to get in front of this commission?
Well, the process is you would go to the Transportation Commission, or the Department of Transportation, and they would put it on the board. The problem with this project, I think, is because it never went to the board because the project kept changing. But that is something I can let the council members speak to.
So you're saying that it has to be the Department of Transportation to put this on the board agenda?
Well, yes, it goes on the board.
Mike, if you could please look at me, because
yes.
I'm talking to you.
Yes,
please. Thank you.
The board, it goes on the transportation. The transportation department prepares the report, and it gets put on the agenda for the board. The board determines whether they want to hear the matter, and the board, it goes on the agenda.
And so you're saying that the project changed so much in 8 years that DOT did not put it on the agenda for 8 years?
That's not what I'm saying, and I'm not going to talk about that. And what I'm giving you is just the legal authority for the board to hear the matter and the board's power and duties.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm asking about the process, because I don't understand the process. So.
Well, that's not for me to explain. I can let the department explain that to you, but...
Okay, that would be great.
You're asking me, you're going outside my turn.
Thank you.
If I may, Councilwoman, this may help. This issue was litigated extensively, and one of the judges that issued a ruling on this case was pretty clear that this was something that needed to go to Board of Transportation Commission and something that should have actually happened much sooner.
That is true.
Again, this is not a dialogue, and so you don't have any more warnings, lady in the black shirt. Yeah. We have to be respectful. No one interrupt you.
City Attorney, please give him a warning.
Any speaker who interrupts the meeting may be subject to dismissal.
And just for the record, the council does direct a motion, and that would be how it eventually gets on the agenda. And I believe that did happen in this case.
So is it that the council puts it on there, or is it that DOT puts it on there, or is it both?
Good morning, Ken Husting with LADOT. We'd like to address this. So what happened is this project was very unique in that it was one of the early affordable housing projects that we, as a department, as a city, were not quite clear on when it should go to the board. And so what happened is when the project started moving forward, the previous council member for that district already made determinations to move forward with the project. And so what happened is it seemingly bypassed the Board of Transportation Commissioners, which was more of an oversight. So there were project changes, there were legal challenges, but what became ultimately clear, and it did take a while, is that it did need to go back to the Board of Transportation Commissioners. So what we did, we actually learned from this project about when it should go to the Board of Transportation Commissioners. So it was murky in the beginning, and so that's why it took so long.
Thank you for that clarification. I have one last question, Chairwoman. What happens to the development agreement should the BOTC decision supersede the council's?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
What happens to the development agreement should the BOTC decision supersede the council's decision?
So I would probably, when it comes to speaking to a legal agreement, I would probably want to defer to the city attorney. But from what I understand, the Board of Transportation Commissioners said that lot is no longer available. But again, city attorney.
Well, without going into, we will look at the contract. The contract, once the board did not approve this project, there were things that were mentioned within the report as to how we would handle the situation. That we're going to have to go back, obviously, and look at the contract. And I really don't want to go further on that until we've had the chance to review how.
Excuse me. Can you say what you're saying? You're saying you don't want to go into details because and your voice tapered off. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, there's some details as was discussed in the department report. To finalize that, to end that contract, there are certain things that will need to be done in terms of costs that were already.
Is that public? That report public already?
Was the report that?
So the board, yeah, the LADOT report that went before the Board of Transportation Commissioners was a public document, and it is available online right now. I think what the city attorney is talking about, there's further maybe offline discussions that need to take place about dealing with the existing agreements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Padilla.
So I currently have 4 LADOT lots in my district that could potentially go through a similar process.
So, Councilmember, apologies for interrupting. This is a Transportation Committee agenda item only.
So my understanding was that I can't vote, but I can ask questions.
Please proceed.
Thank you. So I have 4 lots that are going to go through a similar process, checking its feasibility. So based on what I've observed with this, where I'm confused is what takes priority? A design that a council member vets through and goes through Plum? And where from Plum does it then get taken to this commission, and then the commission decides, no, we have the jurisdiction of the lot? And is that exactly what I'm hearing you say is indeed the process?
So I think maybe, again, the process can go very many different ways, but perhaps it's more efficient to say we have this idea of converting this parking lot to affordable housing and then getting the board's recommendation and then going forward. What we want to try to avoid is going down a path of spending a lot of time and resources to then have it go to the board and perhaps they make a different.
Transportation Board.
Yes, the Board
So
of
then
Transportation
are you
Commissioner.
saying that it was a mistake to have not gone to the Transportation Board in the first place before it went to Coastal Commission and everything through the city?
So I'm not going to say a mistake. I think that it would have been more productive had it gone to the board prior, before going through all these steps and agreements. So again,
Because then it doesn't matter which council member is in office, so to speak.
yes.
Transportation Commission should have ultimate authority because it is their lot, is what we're concluding.
Yes.
No further questions.
Thank you. One more question, Councilmember.
Thank you. Normally during these processes, because I have a bunch of lots in my district too, when does the BOTC actually weigh in on a project? Is it the beginning? Is it the middle? Is it the end? Where traditionally have we seen this decision being made?
So what happened is that there's no set in stone when it has to go to the Board of Transportation Commissioners. But again, looking at it from a efficiency, productivity perspective, it would be good to have it go before the Board of Transportation Commissioners early on to avoid having them having a different opinion or a different finding as a board. And it's, instead of spending all this money on studies and agreements. So I think earlier on is better.
Great, thank you. Now, historically, in other similar projects, when has the BOTC weighed in? For example, like the last 3 projects. Has it been in the beginning? Has it been in the middle? Has it been in the end?
We are now having the board weigh in earlier in the process.
But I'm saying like the last 3 projects historically.
It's towards the beginning. It's like, in other words, there's an idea that there's a project and that we want to do something, and it's going to the board to see if they agree before going out to an RFP.
Thank you. And I know that's the goal, but it's my understanding that historically that has not been the practice. That it's later on in the projects where the BOTC is activated and engaged.
So it hasn't been consistent yet because, again, this is new. But I know that recent projects, I can't say whether it's the past 3 or past 2, it is going to the board before it goes to RFP.
Okay. And then I know you didn't say mistake, but is it an error?
I didn't say a mistake.
No. I said that you didn't say mistake.
Yes.
And you're not calling it a mistake.
No.
But is it an error in our process that we are in this situation right now? That we should have done this earlier on?
Again, I don't want to say error. I think it would have been more
calculation.
Yeah, I think it would have been. Ball. Yeah, well, let me just say it would be more productive, would have been more efficient to have the board reach or be consulted first prior to doing all the additional work. I don't want to say error or mistake. There is no rule set in stone, so that was just the path it went down.
Great. And can we learn from this moment, and can you get us a rule written moving forward how this will play out, and so that we're not just hoping that it happens in the beginning, but that there's language around it?
So real quick, this was a learning moment for us, but I know that the city attorney wants to say something. So.
Yeah, the process actually that we would like going forward is the process that's being done today, where you have the motion is put on the agenda, and the process gets started.
That's where I'm confused on the interest of a mobility.
If you're looking at lots that you think are appropriate, you would have a council motion to have the department look at those particular lots and to determine whether they're feasible for that, and then that would start the process, and then the board then could have taken some. It would be a way to get it to the board faster too.
Okay, well, I do have a motion for the 4 lots. A study being done for the 4 lots in my district. What I'm now just concerned about is where the chicken and egg is going to come from by the time we say, yes, it's feasible for housing. But then I have a developer come and only gives me a certain amount of housing, but doesn't consider the impact of necessary parking that still needs to be there. And so then who's the one that says, go back to the drawing board? Is that now a conversation that has to happen with the transportation hub before they say, yes, you could take ownership of our lot based on the design?
So,
like, when does the design come before the transportation hub says they can do it?
So the design would, full design would happen theoretically after the board has made a determination whether or not we should move forward with a project on that lot. So what I had my colleague was clarify that normally what would happen is the council member would have the CAO's office take a look at the feasibility of the different parking lots, one to see, get the different departments and comments on that lot to see whether or not is recommended or not. And then based off their feasibility, they would then send the report to the Board of Transportation Commissioners. And so we have been following this practice now because we found it to be much more effective and just a more productive way of working within the city and making use of the board to get their comments early on. So we don't want to go to an RFP just to have the board say something contrary. So I'll just repeat one more time. Have the CAO look at the feasibility of affordable housing on the lots. The CAO's office gets the comments of multiple departments to see whether or not it is a good lot for affordable housing, and then that finding could go ahead and go before the Board of Transportation Commissioners.
And then we go to RFP.
if the board approves and that is the direction of City Council, then yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, members. And does anyone else have any questions or comments before we move on? Okay, members, then on item 3, I recommend we adopt the motion. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hutt?
Aye.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
No.
2 ayes and 1 no. The item is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Members and people that are here to witness the joint committee today, because of time and the fact that we have to get to our council meeting at 10 o'clock, move, and Eric, do I need to move that we continue items 4, 5, and 7 to February 26th?
Yeah, we can vote.
Do I need a second for that?
Yeah, I'll call the roll.
Okay. So members of the joint committee meeting, I move that we move items 4, 5, and 7 to February 26th. And Eric, call the roll. Thank you.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hutt?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Mr. Villanova, reiterate what we're voting on.
We're voting on items 4, 5, and 7, the items under the special joint meeting with Public Works Committee.
Right.
And the vote is to continue those items
Yes.
to the next meeting.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so for the Transportation Committee, we got 3 ayes. For the Public Works Committee, Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Padilla,
Yes.
Councilmember Hutt.
Yes.
So both committees agreed to continue item 4, 5, and 7.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Hernandez, are we good to adjourn the special joint committee meeting? Excuse me, we're still in committee.
Yes.
Councilwoman,
Yes, Chairwoman, we can go ahead and adjourn our Public Works Joint Committee with Transportation.
Mr. Clerk, are there any additional business on either committee today?
We still have item 8 under Transportation Committee.
I'm sorry. On item 8, can we move that as well to the 26th? Yeah, to our next meeting.
So just for the record, discussion item 8 will be moved to the next Transportation Committee meeting.
Do I need a second on continuing it? No. Okay, thank you. Now, do we have anything else on the desk?
The desk is clear, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at our next meeting.
Thank you, Chairwoman.